So when you look at the stock price action in the after-hours trade, it's up about 9.5% right now. What is that in response to? Is it in response to the revenue beat, not just for the first quarter, which it was expected to show a revenue slowdown for the fourth straight quarter. Instead, you have the end of that revenue slowdown and a revenue beat in terms of the outlook, or is it something more to do with the cost side, where it's been managing costs well and it continues to do so?
Yeah, I mean, if you're an investor, you can clearly see the core business generates over $10 billion in free cash flow every quarter, so $40 billion annually. Now, if you take the Reality Labs out of the equation, which is doing, obviously, you know, they had a big miss. Not well. The core business looks very solid, and that's why I think investors are happy that the company is showing cost discipline. It's showing up in their guidance as well, and I'm not surprised the stock is up because they continue to optimize when it comes to the cost side of the equation.
Do we have a sense of how long Mark Zuckerberg and Meta is willing to wait out the Reality Labs, the metaverse, the investments there? Because as you mentioned, that business is not doing well, and in fact, it expects the Reality Labs operating losses to increase and to go up year over year. At what point will investors get impatient with this and say, you know what, spin it off, carve it out?
I mean, look, they have laid off 25% of their workforce. They've really, doubled down when it comes to the cost-cutting initiatives in the core business. Once we run that course, then it will be like, what is the next level of growth? Because top-line growth, I don't think it's that easy in this environment, especially when you're losing engagement, which is the case with Meta Core Blue app. So top-line drivers are few, and if Metaverse is not that driver, then they have to figure out how do they accelerate the top line beyond these cost cuts that they have already done.
Yeah.
I do want to go back. I mean, there's been so much talk. I mean, I thought your point that you were making about the lack of a cloud business relative to its peers here. And amid all the AI hype, there was a lot of talk here about kind of the stealth AI that was sort of underpinned a lot of the pivot that, in fact, that Zuckerberg made. In fact, a lot of jokes saying that, you know, had he been really president, he would have renamed the company AI instead of Metaverse. Is that technology there? Is that spending? Was that already in the pipeline there to maybe play catch up with some of its competitors?
Yeah, so there is certainly an overlap. Look, a lot of what Meta does with Instagram and Core Blue app and WhatsApp, the foundational layer is AI. They are harnessing a lot of that data. They are training their own equivalent large language models. But we don't know how they'll be monetizing it. It's not in the form of cloud infrastructure, which is how Google and Microsoft are doing it. So we don't know what that next application will be, where they'll be able to monetize it beyond the ad pricing and the ad business they already have, which is firing on all cylinders when it comes to the monetization they have right now.
And I always like to remind myself, as well as our viewers, this is still an ad company at its heart.
It absolutely.
I mean, with all the technology veneer around it, it's an advertising company.
And a loss-making VR business, where they lose money on every device they sell. Yes.